I first recall me, Lenny Barrels. You were gathered in a heap underneath a table at the Bad Dog Tavern, we did call it back then, not the Rosa Crowd. And thither he was, laying down, and I did kick him with my foot gently. And it bounced to his feet, and then he kept bouncing. He just bounces all the time. It's most curious. I've never seen the like where anyone doth bounce such as Lenny Barrels doth. And he bounced it over to the maiden and got another ale, and he bounced it back, and he's drinking it, and he can drink on the bounce. That is the amazing thing. I've never seen it, did not spill a drop. That is Lenny Barrels.
Good people, I am Lenny Barrels. I am the master of Revels. I am the Lord of Misrule. I am the Merrymaker.
Lenny Barrels is a bouncing ball of mischief.
He's mischief maker. He took full advantage of the position he was given as Lord of the Revels,
The master of levels, the lord of the pool, and a Merrymaker. Wait a minute, no, that's wrong. That was my character. She was drunk, and that's what she thought he was.
No! So we are here at my high school, Flora Park Memorial High School, right across the street from Belmont Racetrack. Here I graduated in 1992, so I haven't stood here in 20 years. But spent most of my spring into early summer standing here throwing balls across the diamond. Pitched a lot from ages 9 to 12, and then when, you know, we upgraded to like 90-foot baselines and you know, 60-foot by 6-inch pitcher's mound. I didn't pitch as much, and I don't know if it's because my dad didn't want me to throw a curveball and kill my arm, or because of the intricacies of throwing over to first base to keep a runner on, or just that I was more useful in other areas. But yeah, so I didn't really pitch. I tried to pitch a little bit senior year because I could throw hard, but my control was not very good at all. One of the beautiful things about baseball and how it's transferred over to theater, my life in theater as an actor, as Lenny, what have you, it's very much like the greater awareness. How many people are on base? What's the score? How many outs are there? What did a certain hitter do the last time they were up? Having many balls in the air is really was really beneficial to me, and having a greater awareness for things on stage. I have thrown a third kidney on my spine, and so I used to have but that pond took it away, and I'm ready. I am ready now to see what this pond has in store for me. Now let every man drink up his full bumper. Now let every man drink up his full glass. We'll drink and be jolly, and we'll drown melancholy. And here's to the health of each true-hearted lass. We'll rant and we'll roar. 1, 2, and we'll rant and we'll roar along the seas until we strike soundings in the channel of old England.
Renaissance Festival is a Renaissance festival which is 5 hours from New York City. It's off in the woods. It's beautiful. It's near Lake Ontario, so it's cool-ish in the summer. And what it is, it's Warwick. It's a 30-acre wood that transports you into 1585 Warwick, England, on the day that the Queen and her court are arriving. And it's a big deal because this only happens once or twice in a generation, is when the Queen comes through your village. And it's just a big festival day. There's everything. There's games and food and shows and different scenarios where the townspeople are doing things.
At its best, I'd call it like a big old playground for everyone there. And that's kind of its purpose, is like meander, have fun, and play. And the actors are pretty much there to get people to play, to like kind of the lost art of like not being uptight and like not worrying about the mortgage and all the crap that sucks.
All the characters at Sterling are comprised of a company of actors known as the Bless the Mark players. There's usually about 35 to 40 each season, playing from the Queen all the way down to a lowly beggar. These company of players have an extensive training over 4 weeks by creative director Gary Izzo in history, dialect, and in improvisation. And the improvisation can be very intense because the audience is also part of your cast. It's an extension of the cast where they need you to be part of the show in order to survive, in order to make their life choices.
You'll bump into a character that needs your help with something. You bump into a character that asks you like, I think I'm in love with somebody, with a whore. Can you give me some advice? Like,
so the improv training, from trust to respect to no judgment to acceptance to working together as a team, goes over these 4 weeks in order to generate the characters, to generate the scenes, to create Warwick 1585.
So you will encounter an entire working village of people, from beggars to washer wenches to pirates who are visiting from very far, because Warwick is a landlocked town, so magically there are all these pirates that showed up. There is a wench auction where they sell patrons. You can see stage shows, you can see music.
There's music throughout the entire place.
You can throw darts, you can shoot arrows. There's a dungeon you can go into. Pretty exciting.
Queen's Feast.
A joust, the evil sheriff dunking mostly innocent people.
The public execution, the trial and dunk.
People get dunked if they're found guilty or even if they're innocent.
This is the trial and dunk stage, which is one of the bigger shows here at the festival. 500 people or so will surround the lake. We have 2 dunks a day. Not a lot of risque shows here at the festival. So people often come down here for the adult humor. So it's a great show. And people are usually very bloodthirsty. It's very interactive. The audience serves as the jury. They get sworn in as the jury. They like to just chant guilty a whole lot because they know what happens next. And the unique thing is finding the different ways for people to get thrown into the pond, to get into the chair. How do we trick people into the chair? What kind of direction does it take? So that's the unique thing about the show, is the different ways in which the trial and dunk manifests itself each season.
And then there's singing and dancing, and at the end there's this big pub sing where everyone gets together. It's the end of the day, people get their beer or whatever, and you get to sing all these old English folk songs that everyone knows, and it always ends with Auld Lang Syne. It gets down to this special, real place where the actors bring a bit of themselves out in their speeches for Auld Lang Syne, but still within the character.
It's kind of a haven of magical experiences.
coming up with the name of this character was a process. When we get to Sterling, we have to develop the character inside and out, come up with objectives for the character, what are the needs of the character, a passion for the character, a foible for the character, and the name was a part of that whole process. The last name came first, Burrows. I was thinking my thief character was going to be somebody very dirty, low to the ground. That's how I always played baseball, was very gritty, diving for balls, head first slides. Any chance to slide, really, I took it just so you could see the game on my uniform. So that was the first thing I thought of, so I came up with the name Burrows. People think that sometimes the 5 boroughs of New York is why I went with that. It's not, and sometimes they actually spell it that way, and it's not spelled that way. It's B-U-R-R-O-W-S, like vermin or rodents or rabbits. I don't know. So I went with Burrows on that to come up with the dirty sense of my thieving character, thieving Elizabethan, as I sometimes called him. Then coming up with the first name for Lenny came with 2 different trains of thought. The first thought was that Lenny Dykstra was my favorite baseball player growing up. 1986 Mets, number 4 center fielder, always diving for balls in the outfield, always head first slide. Him and Wally Backman were the top of the lineup, dirty boys, so to speak. So that was my first idea, was why Lenny and Burrows being a dirty kind of person. Those 2 things came together. The second story is I was telling one day in a rehearsal. We were sitting in the Thieves' Den. It was a meeting. Oh no, the rehearsal was Intellect Symposium, where we just riff on, people ask questions, and then whatever the question is, we just answer as expertly as possible. So we were rehearsing for that one day, and my friend John Benda commented on a story I told about my sister Jen. When she was growing up, she thought that 2 people were plotting to kill her in the basement. And the 2 people plotting to kill her in the basement were named Lenny and the Smart Guy. And Lenny and the Smart Guy, that's all they did, was plan to kill her in the basement, and that's why she often didn't go down to the basement. So when I told that story in rehearsal, John Benda immediately responded, well, your name should be Lenny. And that's really when it was decided, was that moment in the Thieves' Den that this character would be named Lenny Burrows. While I've never had a partner that at Sterling who was nicknamed or named the Smart Guy, it's quite possible at this point that Lenny and the Smart Guy may have been the same person. Who knows?
I think that the like common thread between the character and the man himself is that, yeah, they have that in common, that they want to make merry. I think that the Frank version stresses out more about it.
When things go wrong, Frank comes out, and Frank and I have this eye thing. We're like, oh my god, what's going on? So that's definitely a Frank moment.
You draw from yourself in any character that you do, especially when it's one that you're playing for hours and improvising with, for an entire day. So that is most certainly in Frank Cardilla to kind of rally the troops and have a party.
So I think that they both coexist, but I do think that Frank is a merrymaker as well. He just does it in a much more quiet and behind-the-scenes way, where Lenny is the merrymaker that's very upfront, exactly, he's talking what he wants to do, you can understand, it's just a lot more energy and out there.
That part of him amplified times 100, times 10, for Lenny Burrows. So, yeah, I'd say that Frank is a merrymaker as well.
So there's a line though, and sometimes they cross, I think.
I am Lenny Burrows. I am the master of Revels. I am the Lord of Misrule. I am the Merrymaker. Pitching Lenny Burrows as the master of Revels, the Lord of Misrule, the Merrymaker, came about in the period of time between when I was Lenny the Thief and Lenny the Master of Revels. I had played the Sheriff for 2 years, and that was all well and good. I had a good time playing evil, a different character for a couple of years. And I had started to run the pub sing, keep time on the pub sing, making sure that was fluid, and also had a greater hand staff-wise on things like the opening ceremony and the midday ceremony. So when the season came prior to the 2005 season, Gary Izzo, who's the creative director of the Sterling Renaissance Festival, wrote the book on interactive theater, The Art of Play. He wanted me to play the sheriff again, and I wasn't about it. And I said, I'd like to play Lenny again as the thief. And he was hesitant because he liked how I had a hand in running the pub sing and those ceremonies. So we tried to come to some sort of middle ground, which is how I pitched Lenny as the Master of Revels.
He started off as a thief, and then he morphed into the Master of Revels, and the story of Lenny is that the Earl of Warwick liked what he did, like one the Day of Fools at Christmas time.
He was selected as the Lord of Misrule, Christmas time, 1584, and then the party was so good that they decided to keep him as the Master of Revels for when the Queen arrived the following summer.
So Lenny started being more on the up and up. He started to learn how to read a little bit. He started to become a little more proper, dress a little better. And he got, the more and more respectable he got, the less and less he was in the thieves world. But he always had like that little backsliding, you know, it just took like the click, and then he was wheeling and dealing again.
So that's the backstory, the foundation of Lenny as the Master of Revels. Lenny the thief always wanted to party, so it was easy to throw a party as Lenny the Lord of Misrule, and that transition was very smooth and worked. One of the things that started happening around May was, in terms of fulfilling my own personal life goals, was this idea of throwing out the first pitch as Lenny at a ball game, and really combining these two things that have taken up 26 years of my 37 years of living. So I started posting that I wanted to throw a first pitch, whether it was for the Syracuse Chiefs or eventually for the Rochester Red Wings. Actually, it was Dr. Russ Jeffrey of 1420 WAC who recommended that I start posting more about the Rochester Red Wings because he had a contact. So that's how that happened. The Auburn Double Days are also there. So it was a couple of months of hashtag Let Lenny Pitch and a lot of Facebook status updating and tweeting about that. And Dr. Russ, 2 weeks before I threw the pitch, came through and made the contact, and contact approved for July 6th. And that's how the first pitch was set in motion, pun intended. Going. We're doing it right now.
The Revels, the Lord of Misrule, the Merrymaker, and
In the late 80s, early 90s, when Jose Canseco was playing for the Oakland A's, he said to his manager, Tony La Russa, "I'm not a player, I'm a performer." And the fact of the matter is, in order to perform, you have to know how to play. And so much that we do at Sterling and so much of what Lenny is about knowing how to play, about listening to your fellow teammates, about having the awareness of what's going on around you, and being able to throw the focus to your fellow player, your fellow ensemble member.
If all of your players on the baseball field are going after the ball, then you're not going to get anything done. if everyone ran to wherever the ball went. If all of you try to jump in, nothing is going to be accomplished. There's going to be no scene that comes out. So I think that baseball and improv are very closely related in the fact that you have to toss the focus ball.
The most important thing is I reached. It went high and outside to Rev, but I reached it. Before I go, I'm going to run these bases, because I'll probably never do it again. So we're going to do that now. I'm getting old. Here we go. Ready?
Ready.
Wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.